Hey guys, welcome back and Happy New Year's 2011. I just came back from my New Year's Eve trip from Los Angeles. So this is going to be a belated daily Monday cast. It's actually Tuesday right now. And it is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss. Now, before this match starts, I just want to say I hope everyone had a safe, Happy New Year's. Hopefully nobody got in trouble or anything that could be considered bad. And hopefully you guys all have some great New Year's resolutions. I wanna hear what your guys' resolutions are. One of mine is to stop partying so hard, because I woke up today with a pretty massive hangover, and that's never fun to wake up to. And for all you guys who are under the age of drinking and you guys don't want to hear that kind of stuff, well, let's just say that I did some stuff that I shouldn't have done the night before, and yeah, just woke up really late. So missed Monday's broadcast, but I did come back just yesterday. And yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty awesome game. Post down below, by the way, what your New Year's resolution is. I'd love to look through them and, you know, just maybe get some more ideas. I also want to start working out some more, because my gut, my belly is now becoming a muffin top, and it's like going over my belt. I'm actually looking down at it as I talk. It is so fat right now. And I'm Asian. I can't be fat, otherwise I don't fit the stereotype. So this is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss, and it is going to be one of my daily ladder games. This is going to be for Monday's daily ladder. And I noticed I've only done, I think, one Zerg versus Protoss game on my daily ladder series, and in that game I think it was a Nidus kind of anti-cheese, because he kind of built a bunch of cannons at my natural and I never blocked it. So one thing I do have to say is I'm super rusty, guys. I haven't played ladder in about a week. My rank has dropped down to like 12 or something, and I have like 200 something bonus points saved up. So I haven't played in a very long time. I'm super rusty. This was the very first game I played as soon as I got back. Hangover and muffin top and everything and all. I think those two kind of coincide. If you drink a lot, you party a lot, you tend to get a big gut. So anyways, this is going to be a ZVP. My opponent, his name is Live for Win or Live for Die. It's one of those. Live to Win. There we go. So if you guys are Zerg players or Protoss players, hopefully you guys get a little bit out of this. If you guys are just getting into the StarCraft scene, I hope you guys take a little bit away from this daily ladder. Of course, always featuring myself playing in first-person view. Now, one thing I like to do against Protoss, in fact, one thing I should say I hate to do, is opening up with an early hatchery against Protoss. It is so bad. For many reasons, especially during this current patch, which no, Blizzard hasn't released the latest patch yet. There are rumors that it is going to be released on Thursday, but the reason why, if you're Zerg and you don't want to go for an early hatchery, is because if a Protoss opens with an early Forge, which is quite common, a Forge fast expand, Forge and then Nexus, or even Nexus first and then Forge, they can actually block you in. They can even put down continuous pylons and cannons at your natural, not even at your ramp, but at your natural, and prevent you from actually getting that hatchery up. It's very difficult to deal with. So I don't think that going for an early hatchery is the wisest idea. I'd prefer to go for a 14 pool first. And if your opponent happens to go for a early Nexus anyways, say like a 14 Nexus or, you know, Forge Nexus, then what you need to do is just grab your third expansion as quickly as possible, even though your natural will be a little bit more delayed than his. So as you guys can see, also getting my scouting drone in there, and what I like to do is also getting a Roach Warren after my hatchery has gone down, my fast hatchery at 21 supply, that is the number at the top right hand corner. I like to get the Roach Warren because roaches are really one of the best units in the game right now, especially for ZVP. They're so damn good because they have all that health, they do so much damage with 4 range, they're great. Colossus, don't really deal with them all that well. Even though Immortals are designed to own roaches, when you have a bunch of roaches, you can one-shot Immortals. Maybe not one-shot, but you know, you can 2 or 3 shot them. So roaches are a staple unit in ZVP, just like they are in ZVZ. So I really like getting the early Roach Warren. A, because it allows me to get roaches if I need to for defense, and B, you don't actually need to get roaches right away. If your opponent scouts your Roach Warren, they immediately become scared. They think, oh god, it might be a roach bust. So they might build like a bunch of cannons and they get really defensive about it. So it kind of plays a twofold part. Now, my scouting drone has revealed that Cybernetics Core did get a lot of chrono boost, and I did see 2 more gateways going down inside the main. If you guys look in the minimap, those 2 buildings below the Nexus are gateways. So I am quite certain right now, I would say about 50 to 60% certain, that it is most likely going to be a 4-gate timing attack, which is actually a very effective build, especially in, I mean, it's even effective in the diamond levels. I was going to say especially effective in copper, bronze, gold, I don't even know if copper exists anymore, and platinum, but it's actually still effective in diamond. I've lost to quite a few 4-gates myself. So defending against the 4-gate, if you're Zerg, it can be tricky, especially on this map because there's such a wide open natural. It looks like my opponent is going to be pushing out here. And the one thing you want to do if you're defending against the 4-gate is look at the timer on the bottom left-hand corner. Turn on that timer on the menu tab. The timing attack for a good 4-gate, a really hard 4-gate, is around 5 minutes, I would say actually 6 minutes, not 5 minutes. 6 minutes exactly is when the 4-gate is expected to attack. So you should start building units around 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, it looks like my opponent isn't exactly going for a 4-gate here. He's actually going for a 3-gate into Nexus. And I am going to be able to sneak my Zergling in there just to get a little bit of extra scouting. This is actually very, very helpful. When you're under attack, get a Zergling in there. You can delay a Nexus from going up, you can harass the probes. It actually forces your opponent to pull his attention back. And as you guys can see, my opponent is pulling his forces back right now, and he's still forced to deal with all my units. Now, those sentries have used their force fields, so all I have to do is continue dodging with these lings, keep them alive, and eventually once those force fields wear off, my roaches will be able to catch up. So as you guys can see, pretty micro intensive right now. The force field's wearing off. I'm going to push my roaches forward. And of course, working on my macro back at home all the while. You know, micro, macro, micro, macro, the two staples in StarCraft 2. Gotta have a good balance of each. If you're a beginning player, I highly recommend focusing on macro before anything with regards to micro. Micro is more of when you get to the diamond level. So, as you guys can see, because I have my overlords in a nice scouting position, I do see the Nexus going up, and this immediately tells me, alright, my opponent is going for 3-gate into Nexus. Most likely, he is not going to be making any more attacks. He's going to be probing up, he's going to be getting his economy rolling. I'm checking back over here to see exactly how many probes he's got, and it looks like he's working pretty hard on his probes. So, when you see this as a Zerg, you automatically should go, alright, let's build drones, just mass drones. I don't need to worry about attacking units. I have the Xel'Naga Watchtower at the center, so if my opponent decides to attack, and when he does, I'll be able to just start mass pumping attacking units. But for now, let's pump as many drones as I can. And of course, get my 3rd expansion up. If you're Zerg, you need to get that extra expo up. Now, if you're Protoss, there's actually a couple of tricky things you can do, and I don't see a lot of Protoss players do this. I think one player I know called Arlock does this a lot. He'll go for his expansion, and he'll actually move a ton of his probes over to his natural, transferring from the main, but he doesn't produce more probes. He actually just continues to make attacking units, and then he hits you in a very nice timing window while you're still joining up and you're not pumping any attacking units. So it's very, very deadly. It's one of those things that if you just kind of have to be good at dealing with. It takes a lot of practice. So you can do that if you're Protoss, and if you're not going to do that, if you're going to decide to just probe up, make a bunch of macro, and play macro game with the Zerg, then you do need to hit the Zerg before the Zerg gets his 3rd expansion economy going, before he can saturate and get more drones over there. So anyways, I am going to move my Overseer in here. It looks like there are some Phoenix around the map. They are hallucinated, and the way you can tell that is because the Phoenix didn't do any damage to my Overlord. So I know that there's some hallucinated Phoenix going around here. I'm not too worried about it. Here's my Changeling. It's going to go right into the Protoss ball. And a nice thing you can do is just right-click the Changeling on any of the army units, and they will automatically follow that army unit, well, wherever it goes. So it follows the enemy army. But it looks like my opponent did see the Changeling, and he took it out anyways. So I do see my opponent has currently a Zealot Sentry kind of mixture with Stalkers, and as of right now, Roach Speedling is very effective against that kind of an army composition. Mostly you get Roaches, and you get some Speedlings just to do damage to the Stalkers and do a little bit of flank action. But for now, Roaches are great against Stalker, Zealot, and Sentry. Unless your opponent's going Mass Bling Stalker, Roaches are very, very good. Now it looks like my opponent does have a what's it called, robotics facility. So he may be getting Colossus, he may be getting Immortals. I'm going to lean towards him getting Immortals because he does see my primarily large Roach army. So I'm going to have to mix it up. I'm going to have to decide what tech do I go with next. This is all about reacting to what I see from my opponent. If I see an Immortal, I see a, what's it called? Darn, I've been away from StarCraft 2 for so long. The robotics facility, then you got to react. Either you get a Hydra Den, if you think he's going Immortals, or you get a Spire, and Spire's obviously great to dealing with any robotics facility units. I decided to get both because I wasn't sure exactly what my opponent was doing. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. It looks like my opponent here is going to be moving out. He's going to try to secure his gold expansion right now. And as you guys can see, I have pretty decent creep spread. I just got the gold expansion up. And right now, basically, I'm almost at 4 base to the Protoss's 2 base. So I'm at a pretty large advantage, but my opponent still has a significantly large army size, and very nice Sentry Micro right here is going to cut off my Roach army in half, and this is bad because obviously half your Roaches can't fight. So what you want to do is, if you have a route to retreat, pull your Roaches around. So as you guys can see on the mini-map, retreating all my Roaches, getting them out of harm's way, and not allowing them to just, not allowing half of my army to just die for no reason. Now, I am going to be mixing up my army with either Hydras or Mutas / Corruptors, depending on what I see from my opponent. And looking at this game right now, it would have been nice if I used my Overseers a little more, moved them in, scouted a little bit better. In fact, there we go. Yeah, move the Overseer in there, find out what exactly is going on in there. Yeah, so you can drop a Changeling, you can use the Overseer and just fly it around. But meanwhile, it looks like my opponent did make an attack over to my 4th. So I am going to have to try to scramble my units over here and try to defend my expansion, but those nice force fields are the bane of Roaches. The one thing you can do if you have force field is to get burrow. You can burrow under sentries and then pop up on the other side, if you have tunneling claws as well, of course. So I am going to try to defend, and at the same time, I'm going to try to attack. So you guys can see on the mini-map, I have a small army of units going over to the gold. Lo and behold, though, my opponent didn't really have a gold expansion yet. So he didn't build it. I kind of forgot about it, but I'm scrambling right now to defend against this attack. Cannot lose this gold expansion, and obviously going for the Colossus first whenever possible. Go after those expensive units. Now, as you guys can see, no expansion there to take out, so I'm just going to bring my units around and do a little bit of flank action. And as you guys can see, my mineral and gas count is constantly low. If you look at the bottom of my heads-up display, I'm constantly pumping units, constantly spawning larvae. This is all key and very important, because if your entire army gets demolished and your opponent has been pumping units the entire time, then you're not going to have reinforcements, and you're gonna lose the game. So as you guys can see, pumping more units, doing my micro whenever possible, but focusing majorly on macro. It looks like I should have enough to hold on to my gold, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with just holding on to my gold because I know my Protoss opponent doesn't have the gold expansion up yet. He may have it warping in right now, but he's still on 2 base. He's not on 3 because I have Overlord spread all over the map. I know where the other expansions are. So I know that I am ahead as long as I can hold off this Protoss attack. And my Protoss opponent made a great timing window attack. He attacked right when I was trying to saturate my 4th expansion. And we had pretty equivalent army sizes. And of course, that Sentry Force Field Micro really played a huge part. Now here we go. I am going to continue to push forward. It would have been nice if I could hit that pylon. Could have canceled all those units from warping in. And I think that I do have enough Roaches. Notice that I'm not really pumping too many Hydras. You guys might be wondering, why am I not making all that many Hydras? I have a couple here or there, but the bottom line is I'm facing off mostly Warp Gate units. I don't really need to invest in Hydras right now. I only need a few here or there. And really, I only need more Hydras if my opponent's got Immortals. He doesn't have Immortals, he doesn't have Void Rays, he doesn't have Phoenix, so I don't really need to bring any Hydras into the mix more than what I already have. So mostly I can go with Roaches right now. Roaches are great for dealing with Colossus. You move up, you focus fire the Colossus, GG. So, yeah, it looks like I'm just going to continue to macro up here. I was able to hold off the attack. I know I'm ahead. It would have been nice for me to spread the creep a little bit more. My creep spread obviously needs a little bit of work here or there. And if you're a Protoss player and you're in this position, it's actually a great way to come back. Even if you're ahead or you're behind at the mid to late game versus Zerg, build Dark Templars. make DTs, because look, I have no detection whatsoever. You bring DTs, you split them up, you can kill so many drones. Now, because I've experienced this so many times, especially from players like Dopa, I've learned to deal with this. What you need to do if you're Zerg is build a Spore and 2 Spine Crawlers at every single base. And as you guys can see, around the 20-minute mark, getting 1 Spore and 2 Spines, I got it at every single expansion. I guess you don't really need it at the main hive because, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe it would be nice to run your tech buildings. But yeah, get a Spore and 2 Spines at every base. It's totally worth the investment rather than losing a ton of drones or building, you know, a bunch of Overseers and waiting for that to build. So anyways, I am going to push up here. It looks like my opponent not going to be able to pull his Colossus back, and his force field's not the best. Obviously, I still have Burrow. I should have it researched already. So I would have been able to burrow underneath anyways. And yeah, I think this is going to be GG. Just working on that macro, obviously, back at home, pushing forward with my roaches. And my opponent here pretty much gonna lose this game as he never was able to grab that third. Several times my Protoss opponent was pushing out, and at the same time he was pushing out, he tried to hit me when I was saturating my 4th. That was the weakest point and the best window for him to attack, and at the same time he was trying to get that Nexus up. But every time he tried, I was able to hold him back and keep the Protoss from getting a third. That's really the trick if you play ZVP. Prevent the Protoss from getting a third Expo, or else you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So don't let him get that. And yeah, that's going to be it. This is going to be HD Daily Monday, and I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. Take it away, guys. Enjoy yourselves on ladder. Happy New Year's 2011, and stay safe. HD, signing out.